All information in this program is known to be accurate at the time of recording. Any commentary by the host is for discussion purposes only. Anyone labeled a person of interest by the host or family has not been charged with a crime. All suspects charged with crimes related or unrelated to a case covered are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Opinions and views expressed by the host do not represent views of the families or sponsors of this program.
The general public really never knows what happens after a person is reported missing. Countless missing persons flyers are everywhere. Retail stores, convenience stores, light posts, and even on social media. Only high-profile cases are seen on mainstream media. It seems like the rest of these cases just don't matter. And that has to change. And it starts changing now. From Grim Media, this is The Missing Matter, hosted by Steve Stone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Grim Truth Podcast channel. I'm Steve Stone. I host the Grim Truth Podcast, and this segment is called This is The Missing Matters. We do it weekly. This is episode 4. Thank you for tuning in before we begin the video. If you would like to help the missing, if you consider yourself an advocate, or you think that people need to know that the missing aren't being looked for properly, cases are falling through the cracks, nobody gives a shit, subscribe to the Grim Truth Podcast YouTube channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the podcast, The Missing Matters, or any other content related to the missing. Please like and share and comment down below. Let us know what you think. Get in the conversation. More people need to be involved, and that includes you. So subscribe, like, share, comment. Let's get to it. One of the things I would like to introduce before we begin today's video, and I'll talk about it during the podcast coming up on Friday, is the Grim Guardian membership program on the YouTube channel. As I stated at the very beginning this year, we are now monetized. And that is a big deal for me, because being monetized means we get a small portion of advertisements that YouTube plays on our videos. It ain't much, but it's enough to help pay the bills. And with that comes a lot of cool stuff that we can do as content creators on YouTube. One of those things is memberships. And before we get into that membership, we are so close to 2,000 subscribers. I really want to get there. If you haven't done so, if you follow us on Facebook, subscribe to the podcast. If we've done a case for you, subscribe to the podcast. Help us out and become a voice for the voiceless. Now, we have the Grim Guardian program. It's a membership that we've started here on YouTube. When you go to the channel, you can, at the bottom of the videos, if you slide to the left, you can see a super thanks, which you can thank us. You know, you can spend $1, $2, $3 and thank us for that particular podcast we did. Or you can join and become a Grim Guardian for $4.99 a month. You become a Grim Guardian, and what you get are some perks. You get loyalty badges, custom emojis, early access to new videos, member shoutouts, priority reply to all comments, and member-only live streams, which is what we're going to be doing very, very soon. As a matter of fact, we're going to have one at the end of this month. More of that will follow. The other thing is you are going to become a producer of every one of our shows. The podcast, The Missing Matters, you become a producer. So you get a lot for that $4.99 a month, and it also helps the channel. It helps the podcast. It helps us continue to pay the bills so that we can continue to be a voice for the voiceless in search of the truth and the media for the missing. So let's get into today's episode 4 of The Missing Matter, and we're talking about Chris Sanders. Chris Sanders went missing on August the 13th, 2017. And he's a hard-working guy, family guy. He had children he was trying to take care of. He was busting his butt, working hard. And if you've been living under a rock or you haven't been following, which, you know, a lot of people don't, Chris was working in Monahans for a company called Trendsetters, who, by the way, forgets that Chris ever worked for him. And at Trendsetters, Chris was working. His wife, Angela, and his children were staying in Cason, Texas at the time. And Chris went missing. He was gone. Chris had, at the time of his disappearance, had an RV, and he had a Chevy Tahoe. About a week after Chris went missing, Angela Sanders, his wife, came up, got the Tahoe, and got the RV. Subsequently, those two vehicles have been sold. Now, I have some reservations about the sales because, they're probably illegal. We'll get to that in a minute. Purpose of this video today is to pretty much discuss a narrative, and I want you to comment down below. We need to discuss this narrative. Now, I put a post on, before we get to the Tahoe, I put a post on the Facebook page on Sunday, and I said, why get rid of all of Chris's stuff? Why sell it? Why do anything with it? Because the hope of everybody is that Chris comes home, right? That's the hope, that Chris comes home. Well, how can he come home if all of his shit's gone? But in this Facebook post, you can go check it out on the Grim Truth Podcast Facebook page. Somebody replied that instead of focusing on the stuff that had to be sold because, gosh darn gee whiz, the family had to live, focus on the people that were there. Well, thank you for bringing that up, because who was there? Who actually was there? Do we really know who was there? Do you know who was there? We don't know who was there. What we do know is when and if Chris was to come back to Monahans, he'd have nothing to come back for because everything was gone. It was a fire sale. A fire sale of just outrageous proportions. Chris was paid up until August the 13th. He was paid up as of August the 13th to the end of August for the RV and the Tahoe at the RV park in Monahans. Angela decides in her infinite wisdom, after not reporting Chris missing several days after he had gone for his walk, and not telling anybody, and his mom finding out, on a Wednesday, again, days after he's gone. Nobody tells Sandy nothing, not a doggone thing. And then Angela goes up and picks up the Tahoe. This is the exact Tahoe that Chris used. It's all nice and clean, looks good so it can get sold, all nice and shiny. This is the Tahoe that Chris was driving at the time of his disappearance. This is the Tahoe, if you followed my podcast, that the alarm was going off early in the morning because some Chris was going through it. When in all intents and purposes, it was somebody going through Chris's car. That's just what that was. And the alarm was going off and the doors were open. None of the things that Chris would have done had he been there, but he wasn't there because he was gone a long time before that story even popped into somebody's head. But that's the Tahoe. Again, I want to reiterate how nice and shiny and clean it is so that it can get sold. Well, I'm offering $2,000 for any information to where this car is. That's right, $2,000 for where that car is, because I want to see it. And I'm going to be in Texas very, very soon, and I'd like to be able to take a look at it. So if you know where that Chevy Tahoe is, if you take a look down here at the bottom, you can call me at 321-343-4976 or email me, stevestone@thegrimtruth.com. I want to see where the Tahoe is. I believe that Tahoe is very, very important to Chris's disappearance. Not the only thing that's important to Chris's disappearance, but it's relevant. But I want to reiterate it's sold. $2,000. I want to know where this car is. Cash money. You show me where this car is. Show me who has it so I can take a look at it. $2,000 in your pocket. Now we're moving on. One of the other things that has been in kind of limbo is Chris's motorcycle. Now, last year, Angela Sanders stated that she had the motorcycle, that it's still in her possession. This was a nice Harley Davidson that had been fully restored. I talked to the guy that painted it. I've talked to several guys that say they painted it. I mean, it could have been more than one. Who knows? I digress. The bottom line is I've had four people tell me that this bike is no longer in the possession of Angela Sanders and it was sold. Now, I know the name of the person it was sold to. I know the general location of the person that the bike was sold to, if this is true. And so basically what I'm trying to get at is I want to know where the bike is. So I'm offering $2,000 for information leading to the whereabouts of the motorcycle. That's right, $2,000 cash money. We are having a fire sale, not on Chris's belongings, but on the whereabouts of Chris's belongings, because we don't think it was right that all of his shit was all his shit was sold, probably illegally, and we're gonna look for it. And I think ultimately that these are things that should not have been sold, because we all thought. I remember about the when all the dust up about this prayer vigil that was being held by certain individuals who will remain nameless, and one I made a comment on the status of Chris, where I believe very, very firmly that Chris was murdered by someone very close to him. I believe that. You can't tell me otherwise. It's what I believe. It's the evidence that we have suggests what happened. So anyway, someone said something very chilling, but also hyperbolic, if you will, because he said, "Oh, how do you know? We all give hope that Chris will come back one day." That would be great, but shouldn't his wife have thought about that too? Shouldn't Angela have thought the same thing, that the ultimate goal was Chris was going to come home? I mean, he hasn't come home, and but the whole what if is, if he was supposed to come home and he just went for a walk, where was he going to come home to? He must have had this miraculous sign from God Almighty. Well, it hit me. Angela took all my stuff home. I guess I'm going to have to walk back to Mount Vernon or Cason or wherever I was living at the time. Bull crap. No. So, I'm offering $2,000 for the whereabouts of the motorcycle. If you know where the motorcycle is and you can prove it and you can take me to it, you're going to get $2,000 cash money for the motorcycle. We're having a fire sale to buy all this stuff back, to see where we can find it, because we believe it's evidence of further crimes against Chris Sanders, even after he disappeared. Finally, folks, we want to talk about the car. This car was seen on I-20 between 1:30 and 2:30 in the morning on August the 13th, 2017, again, on I-20, when several witnesses saw someone who looked like Chris, who they identified as Chris Sanders, was walking in a very curious manner, albeit he looked like he was in distress, and this exact car was seen and in that area on I-20 at the same time. So, you guessed it. What do I want? I want information on this car, $2,000. Show me where it is. I also know something a little bit more about the car, but I'm not going to get into it right now because I'm saving it for later. Because I know more than they think we know, and I want to see what's going to happen here, because this is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. Crimes have been committed against Chris Sanders even after his disappearance and possible homicide. Severe crimes. Chris Sanders is a victim of more than one crime, and it's time to get to the bottom of those crimes. I am announcing that by the end of this month, I will be delivering information to the Texas State Attorney General's office of crimes that have been committed against Chris Sanders, a human being who has not been declared deceased, who is missing, and I am going to be sending all the information I'm collecting on all of Chris's items up to the Attorney General's office to have an investigation and hopefully indict people on some serious charges. Now, if people have information on this and would like to cooperate and would like to be witnesses instead of defendants, you can call me at 321-343-4976 or email me stevestone@thegrimtruth.com. Folks, I'm not letting this lie. We can't. There are too many people who claim to be Chris's brother, who claim to be Chris's friends, who claim to love Chris, and I love dog, and well, prove it. Because I don't know who everyone's scared of, but they don't scare me. And again, I'm going to be in Texas very, very, very soon. And I'm not scared of you either. And I'm going to be visiting places and videotaping stuff. And I'm going to be down there. And I'm going to be taking a look for myself. And I guarantee you, and I as I'm sitting here recording at the time of this recording, I am going to find Chris Sanders. And the people responsible are going to go to jail. Just because you think you know what you know, you don't know what I know. And I'm just sitting in the background, collecting evidence, getting documents, looking for cars, looking for bikes, looking for other witnesses, and I'm going to get to the truth. And when I do, I cannot wait to be there when all of you get perp walked for doing what you did to this wonderful man, callously just didn't care about him. The bottom line, and this graphic explains everything, is that Chris Sanders, whether you like it or not, was on sale. His stuff was on sale. He was trying to be ultimately deleted. Angela Sanders, for whatever selfish reason, decided she was going to take everything this man ever owned, loved. Now, she can say what she wants, but we all know that Angela Sanders has a problem with the truth. Bottom line. And everything that Chris Sanders was for sale. People bought it, and that is a crime. That is a doggone crime. And if you want to help solve this crime, and I guarantee by solving some of this, we might be able to just get closer to finding Chris Sanders. And there are other people that have been named that I'm coming back around to. You know who you are. This isn't even remotely finished. We have a long road ahead, but I guarantee we're closer than everybody realizes. So we are going to undelete and unsell everything that Chris ever had that was lost, that wasn't for those people to sell and profit on a man's tragedy, his missing, his homicide. People have profited from this, and I'm going to make it my mission to make sure that anyone that profited from Chris's death, it pays for it in spades. Period. End of discussion. And I hate to make these videos so kind of just it's an agitated feeling because we're so close to finding him, and everybody plays these games like their heads in the sand. Oh, we don't know nothing. Oh, I only told him what he wanted to know. Kind of crap. And that's not going to happen anymore. Everybody knows what happened to Chris. We know what happened to Chris. Now we are going to do whatever we can. If I will do whatever it takes to get people in jail for the stupidest, tiniest reasons, just to put you in a box and get you to sweat it out. That's my goal, and I'm going to achieve that goal. We're going to be successful to the point where we find out what happened to Chris and we bring him home, because Sandy deserves it, his children deserve it, and even his friends deserve it. But now it's time to either shit or get off the pot and do what's right and bring Chris Sanders home. That's going to wrap this video up. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have information on any of the vehicles, if you have information on the Chevy Malibu 2000, 2005, $2,000, give me a call. If you have information on the bike, $2,000, give me a call. If you have information on where the Chevy Tahoe went, $2,000, give me a call. We're looking for it, because this ain't right and we're not putting up with it. I'm not going to take it, and we need your help. That's going to wrap this video up. Please make sure you like, share, comment down below, subscribe to the Grim Truth Podcast YouTube channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. I'm Steve Stone. I will see you Friday. We are going to air episode 43, Help Find Thomas Part 2, and we will also be talking about Jessica Nicole Stacks on March 24th. Stay tuned for that. And at the end of the month, we are going to have a special live episode of the podcast. It's a secret. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. We will talk about that later. For everyone here at the Grim Truth Podcast, God bless, hug your family, and we will see you later.